association with LK Formation or LK Formación Consultoria, tailor-made solutions for your business. Okay, we're going to go through very quickly today. We're going to try and get into things as quick as possible so that you can learn and get something done, and we're going and getting ready for 2023. So I'm going to go across now to our section here, and I'm going to explain what we're going to look at. So let me get it ready. And first we're going to be looking at some business phrasal verbs. As you can see, a nice little cute penguin with a briefcase and a top hat. After that, we are going to be looking at some human resources question. Well, we're going to look at one in particular, and as we go on through time, we're going to look at each individual question and just a way that you can perhaps answer this question that might be useful for you. We'll be looking at vocabulary as we speak. After that, we'll do a little bit of listening practice. This one is in relation to strikes, where people stop working and sometimes are forced to do this. We'll do a bit of listening practice in this interview. After that, we're going to look at some business idioms which contain references to animals. And then we're going to look at some business emails and how you can finish a business email. We know that they are quite stressful. We know that business emails, sometimes we just overthink them. So let's look at an easy way that you can just finish an email and not worry about offending people or having them misinterpret what you wanted to say. Okay? Right, so what we'll do is we're going to start looking at our idioms, I believe. Is it? Yes. No, it's not. It's the phrasal verbs. So let's get into the phrasal verbs. And you don't need to read this, but if you want, you can stop the video later and you can look. So our first one is to brainstorm ideas. I'm sure this is often something that even in foreign languages, people are using the English expression to brainstorm, and it's to come up with a list of ideas through group discussion or a thinking process. Let me give you an example. Let's brainstorm some new marketing strategies for our products. So we can take a time out, nobody talk for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and we'll brainstorm. So you think to yourself, you write it on a piece of paper, or you just have a brainstorming session where it doesn't matter what you say, nothing can be wrong, just get ideas out onto the table. That's our first phrasal verb for business. After that, it's to negotiate terms or negotiate terms. This is to reach an agreement through discussion and compromise. Compromise in English means I don't get exactly what I want, you don't get exactly what you want, but we meet somewhere in the middle. You have to give away or lose some of the things that you want. I have to lose. We have to compromise. Okay? So to reach an agreement through discussion and compromise, an example here is we need to negotiate terms with our supplier before finalizing the contract. We need to negotiate terms. Next up for our phrasal verbs is streamline processes. To streamline processes. This is to make a process or a process more efficient and effective. We are working to streamline our production processes to increase output. So it's to make a process, it's make things more efficient and effective. A nice phrasal verb to use if you want to make things better. Say we should streamline our processes. Very nice phrasal verb. After that, we're going to move on to our next one, number 4, which is to outsource tasks. This is to hire somebody else, a third party, to perform a specific task or service. And here's our example. We have decided to outsource our website development to a professional agency. That is something I would love to do myself, because you hear what you're doing is you're admitting that you are not the best people or you are not the best person to do this task. You have the money available to you in your budget, so you just give it to someone else. You outsource that task. And that is something that in business is done so regularly. to outsource tasks. Give it to someone else, give it to another company. They know how to do it and they'll do a great job for us. Okay. A good website, for example, if you want to outsource tasks, is Fiverr. Fiverr. I think that's the spelling. And they can do often tasks like creating websites, logo design, anything you want. It's a great website where people promote their services for you. And finally, we have pitch a proposal. So this is to present an idea or proposal to a potential client, a possible client or investor. And our example here is, I will be pitching a proposal for a new business venture to the board next week. The board is the board of directors, the people who make the decisions. I will be pitching a proposal for a new business venture to the board next week. So if you come up with a new business idea, you pitch that idea you pitch your proposal to the board or to whoever it may be. Often, for example, let's say you were a young person in film, you were studying film, and then all of a sudden you bump into or you meet a famous film director in a lift or in an elevator. This is called the elevator pitch. That's where you have a very short time to introduce your pitch, your proposal in 45 seconds, so that that person will then go, good idea, we're going to do it, or I will contact you again and we will discuss it in more depth. This has the name of the elevator pitch. Quick and concise. Fantastic. So they are our business phrasal verbs for today. Brainstorm ideas, that number 1. Number 2, negotiate terms. Number 3, streamline processes. Number 4, outsource tasks. And number 5, pitch a proposal. Your goal today is use one of them. Somehow get it into your conversation. Get practicing. You even say it to yourself as you're making a cup of tea or coffee or walking down the street. Get it internalized, okay? And don't worry, we'll revisit these again. You can revisit again. Let's move on. Okay, so we're on to our human resources question. There are so many questions that you need to tackle in human resources. But with this question, we're going to look at this question in particular, which is, how do you handle or manage remote teams or remote work? Okay, I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller, so if you come back to this later, you can look. Okay, I'm going to read it for you and we're going to look at it together. How do you handle and manage remote teams or remote work? Often now people are working from home, remote working, you have a team. So let's listen to this example. I have experience managing remote teams and have found that clear and consistent communication is the key. I make sure to schedule regular team meetings, both one-on-one and group, to ensure that everyone is on the same page and that our issues or concerns can be addressed promptly. I also use project management tools to keep track of tasks and deadlines and make sure that everyone has access to the same resources and information. Additionally, I make sure to establish trust and build relationships with my remote team members, and actively seeking their input and feedback, and recognizing and appreciating their contributions to the team. So if you are working remote, these are some ideas that you can use and implement. And if in the future you are asked this question, you can talk about how it was done. These can be very important things, very useful. It's not as easy to stay in contact with your team while you are remote working. So some good ideas here. What do we have? Keep track of tasks, meeting people one-on-one or in a group, making sure everyone's on the same page. This is an idea where everyone understands the same thing together. We all think the same thing. We all understand the same thing. We're all reading off the same page. And that way issues, which are problems and concerns, can be addressed promptly, quickly. Promptly means quickly. Okay, great. So if you want to come back and look at this, just stop the video later, come back and have a look at this on your screen. Okay, just a request from me. If these are useful for you, these short business videos are useful for you, please just tell a friend or send it on to a friend. That really helps me, and I would really appreciate getting in contact with more people. Also, a shout out, which is a hello to my new contacts. Thank you for getting in contact with me, and I hope these videos can help you in your business day-to-day life. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a bit of listening practice. A lot of you guys are writing emails and so on, or perhaps even being involved in meetings, but listening practice is important. So this one is about strikes that are going on in the National Health Service in the UK. I'm aware that in Spain as well, you have these things going on. In France and in various other countries, there are strikes in different industries. At the moment, the healthcare service is one of those services that is under attack, let's say. That's subjective, of course, but let's listen anyway. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to listen to this lady being interviewed. I'm going to put on my headphones and we're going to listen, and we're going to try and get some vocabulary as well. So this is good listening practice for you guys. Let's go.
Yeah, I think we need to protect our profession and protect the NHS. It's not feasible really to continue like accepting pay cut after pay cut after pay cut with inflation going up and up, and the people at the top taking more and more for their pockets, for their businesses, for their friends, for their profits, while the majority of people suffer. And that includes patients, staff, nursing. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It just can't continue. It's too heartbreaking. It's a job that I love, but I need to pay my bills, and we need to keep people in the profession. Nursing students don't want to be nurses. Experienced nurses are leaving. There will be no one left. And I don't blame them, but I can't imagine doing anything else. I can't imagine doing anything else. And, you know, for patient safety, for staff safety, for the benefit of all of society, we need strong social support, strong social care, and that means making sure that everyone is paid a livable wage, a fair wage for what we do. Our scope of practice goes up and up. We're expected to take on more responsibility, more skills, highly educated, highly trained. I mean, I wish I could explain to you, like, the level of intervention we can do. Life-saving stuff, especially at a hospital like this. And the understanding of what we actually do, I think, is low. And the expectation of the training, the skill, goes higher. And the wage, in real terms, is years and years of pay cuts now.
Okay, so that is an interview with a lady from the National Health Service. I'm just wondering if you recognized her accent, because the NHS is the National Health Service in the UK. Get my headphones there. It's the National Health Service, it's the acronym, and generally in English we pronounce the letters, not always like NASA, but in general we say NHS or CEO. She was being interviewed. I'm not sure if you notice, maybe if I scroll back here, I bring up
skill.
Let me just stop it actually. On this banner, we call this a banner, it said, "United we bargain." Let me see if I can get it more. Yeah, there we go. "United we bargain, divided we beg." So you bargain is like, it's like when you're in talks or in consultation, or you're in trying to get something, you're bargaining, you know. So this is obviously a union perhaps, or just general people. A union is the group of people together, and syndicates, often in different languages, sindicatos or syndica. Divided we beg. Beg is like please, please, please. Oh, so together you can bargain, you have a stronger hand. Like in poker, you have a stronger hand. And divided we beg. So she came out with some useful vocabulary there, I think, for you guys. Staff meaning personnel. STAFF is staff, or personnel, or employees. Cut after cut is like making cuts in payment, making cuts in staff, CUT. That is laying people off and expecting more from their staff. This is interesting because her accent is from the States, or often in English we'll just say American, which is politically incorrect, I know, but English people, speaking people, often tend to say the specific countries for the Americas, such as Canada or Mexico or Colombia, and America often just means the United States. Kind of changing, but that's the way it is. Useful to do a bit of listening there, and as I said, I'm aware there are strikes going on. This is also the name of this, where people, what they are doing here is they are picketing. They are picketing, PICKETING. This is where you are standing outside the place of work, and the place of work is still open, but this is called a picket line, and sometimes it's considered bad to pass a picket line. And so if I wanted to get, like, let's just say, for example, in this place, I want to go into the doctor. Well, I shouldn't go in because that's the picket line, and you shouldn't pass the picket line. It's kind of like the 11th commandment. Don't pass a picket line, is what some people say. So anyway, that is a picket line. Obviously, for an emergency in this case, you're going to go into the hospital, but let's imagine it was a different business, you know? So, yeah, it's good to get listening practice in. She has an American accent. Don't be stuck on one accent. Oh, I like the American, or I prefer the British, or I'm in Australia. It doesn't matter. You should be able to listen eventually comfortably to all accents. If you didn't understand everything from that woman, sorry, I could have done this earlier, and you can do this. Let me play.
Life-saving stuff, especially
you can
at a
stick
hospital
on,
like
as you can see.
And
I'm putting
the
on
understanding of what
the closed caption, CC. Okay, if you feel more comfortable doing that, you can do that. I should have done that in the beginning, but I forgot. And even when I was preparing it, I was like, yeah, I got to put on the closed captions, James. Anyway, that's a listening practice. Do something. It will help you. I'm trying to do it myself in both French and Spanish. Very useful. Very useful. Right, let's go. We're on to our next one, which is business idioms with animals. Right, what have we got? So I'm going to give them to you, and I'm going to explain them. So the early bird catches the worm, meaning that those who start early have an advantage. The early bird catches the worm. Those who start early have the advantage. So if you want to, in your business, for example, you want to diversify and get in early somewhere. Like if you look at, for example, Tesla. Well, Tesla it wasn't in the car industry, but it got in there with electric vehicles. So Tesla was the early bird with electric vehicles, and it got the worm. It got a very large market share. Netflix as well for a streaming service, and you can think of many other examples. That is the early bird catches the worm. And sometimes, often what we will do in English is we'll just cut it in half. You know what I'm talking about. So I'll just say, well, you know, the early bird. I don't need to finish the expression. The early bird catches the worm. Okay, number 2, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Now, this means not to put all your resources or effort into one thing instead of diversifying. So let's take Tesla again. They're in the Tesla or Elon Musk's company are working on cars, but also he's gone into different areas such as the space industry, and I don't know, he's thinking of something in relation to chips, and there again he's after buying Twitter, which is a resource for information and so on. So he's not putting all of his eggs in one basket. He's diversifying. If we think about other companies now, for example, companies that traditionally had petrol cars or gas cars are diversifying into electric cars, such as BMW or all of the major brands, to be honest. So don't put all your eggs in one basket, also used in the sense of stocks and shares in the stock market. Don't only invest in cryptocurrency, you want to invest in other long-term shares as well. And while we're on the topic of share, we have the lion's share, meaning the biggest or largest part of something. So will we talk about telephone markets, or let's say Apple, Google phone? Do Google do phones? Let's say they do phones. Okay, Samsung. Who else does phones? Apple, Samsung, Huawei, Xiaomi. Okay, who has the lion's share? Who has the biggest part of the market? But more than likely Apple have the lion's share. But whoever has the largest part, they have the lion's share of the market. In the previous one, the relation there to animals was eggs. Moving on to number 4, a snake in the grass, meaning a deceitful or a treacherous person. So if somebody is not a nice person, they are deceitful, telling lies in, let's say in your work, for example, in your department, telling lies about you, spreading rumors. That's a snake in the grass. That person is a snake. You need to be careful of that person. You need to make sure that whatever they are saying, that you get the truth out there if they are telling or saying bad things. So that means a deceitful or a treacherous person. Often that person might pretend to be your friend. And finally, a sheep in wolf's clothing or wolf's clothing, meaning someone who pretends to be something they are not, often with malicious intent. Yes, this is kind of like the same one I referred to. It's someone who pretends to be nice. They're dressed up like a sheep. But they are a wolf, really. They want to eat you. They want to ruin you. But also, I think we can say this in a positive light. If you talk about someone doing negotiations, could be someone who's very good at it and they seem very nice and polite, but they're like a wolf, really. You know, they come across as a sheep and be nice, but they're quite clever in the way, you know, she does business. She comes across as being all nicey, but she's very she's like a wolf when it comes to negotiation. So you can see how that can be used as a positive or a negative. Let's run through again what they were. The early bird catches the worm. Get in early and you'll get the lion's share. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. You want to diversify. Be careful of the snake in the grass in your department, and the sheep in wolf's clothing can be a positive or a negative. Looks one way, but actually is another way. So in a bad way, be careful of that person, and in a good way, you want to, it's like pretending, okay? So to get what you want. Great, we're moving on quite nicely, and we're on to 5 business email endings. Okay, this can be something that is, well, a lot of people overthink emails. You're writing emails in English with the international department or whoever it is. This can be a tricky area. We're going to look at number 1 here, best regards. Best regards is just a lovely email ending, and you can also break this into best, which is quite acceptable as well. Doesn't really mean anything. When this came out first, I thought This is not really going to survive. It doesn't mean anything, but actually it's quite nice. You can say best or best regards. Absolutely fine. No offense. Will be taken. All right. Next is the simple thank you. Okay. Thank you. That's what we say. It works nice. Or thanks. I use this quite a lot. Just simple. I don't think you can think of anything else. Just thanks. Thank you. Very nice. Sincerely is quite formal. And perhaps if you're sending something and you want it to sound formal, you can use sincerely. Okay, it's a difficult spelling for English speakers because it's spelled sincerely, and obviously we don't pronounce things as they're spelled, but just remember that ELY at the end, sincerely. Warm regards, if you want to change it up from best regards, warm regards, and kind regards, again, totally acceptable, non-offensive, not boring. You can use them. And another one that we can just, an extra one we'll throw in for the top is best regards, best or all the best. I like to say all the best. So, right, and just a note I wrote in here at the bottom. In most professional and formal emails, it's always a good idea to use your name at the end of the email and add your phone number, job title, and company name for more credibility. Okay, so I'm putting in kind regards, James. I'm going to put in kind regard, James O'Reilly. I'm going to put my number so you can contact me. Business English coach, Elica Formación. And that way it looks more credible, more formal, and you know how to reach me. It's always quite nice. You can have this as standard. A lot of people do anyway at the bottom of their email. If you don't, keep it in mind. It's quite useful. Okay. And I think that's where I wanted to end it. But I have a bit of extra time. So what I'm going to do is I thought I'd add this one in and I can talk to you about it. It's about just people's transformation. And I thought, well, if I have extra time, I'll talk to you about this. So it's changes in people. Okay, it's not really related to business, but it will come in useful for you. And I just thought it was something when I was learning language. It was more like changes in how people are, but this is more about just changes in people. So let's have a look. We have a physical transformation of person, which is physical, and this is a change in a person's physical appearance, such as a new hairstyle. Okay, I go into the office and my physical appearance has changed. I have a new hairstyle. New clothing or weight loss, losing weight. Let's have an example here. She cut her hair short and dyed it. She cut her hair short and dyed it blonde. It's a whole new look for her. So to dye your hair is when you put in the color. If you don't know what it is when you put in a bit of color here and there, it's called highlights. Like when you watch the bits at the end of the football, for example, you watch just the best bits, they're called the highlights. And also in your hair, they are called highlights. So in my hair, I put in blonde highlights or whatever. Okay, an attitude or attitude. Okay, on this side of the Atlantic, the TU for TUDE, we pronounce ch, like a ch. Attitude. That's how we pronounce it in the UK and Ireland. And over on the other side of the Atlantic, you'll hear attitude. So actually, even the T gets changed. Attitude. So I often say attitude. Sometimes I change. I say attitude. But I'll always say the ch. But on the Americans, you'll hear sometimes ch in words and sometimes t. Attitude in this case. An attitude shift. A change in a person's attitude or behavior, such as becoming more confident or outgoing. Example. He used to be shy, but now he's more outgoing and talkative. Outgoing is a good word here, a good vocabulary word, and it means to be social, to be comfortable in your own skin when talking and so on, to be quite outwardly social. It's a positive word to describe someone as outgoing. The antonym or the opposite could be, I had it there for a second. I'm after losing it. Reserved. To be reserved, I would say. Introvert is more like very reserved. To be introverted. It's getting thrown around here. Just introverted, extroverted. They're kind of at the different ends of the spectrum, but outgoing is nicely here and reserved is nicely there. Nothing wrong with either. Okay. Outgoing and talkative, as you can see, social. Mindset change. A change in a person's way of thinking, such as becoming more optimistic or open-minded, for example. She used to be very closed-minded, but now she's more open to new ideas and perspectives. So you might have people in your office, in your work, in your department who are a bit closed-minded because they don't accept new technology or new ways of doing things, but they need to be more open-minded, realizing that TikTok is not only for dancing anymore. It's you can even promote your business on TikTok, for example. You need to be open-minded. Who knows? Maybe not yet, but open-minded, being open to ideas. Closed-minded, open-minded. So you need a mindset change. Change your mindset. All right, moving on to number 4. Life change. A life change is a significant change in a person's life, such as a new job, marriage, or moving to a new place. Examples: he got promoted to a new position at work. It's a big change for him. So moving to a new company is a life change. Moving to a new country is a life change. The birth of a child, getting married, a breakup. All of these are life changes. And often you will hear in an interview, it was a life-changing experience. And obviously if it's an interview or it's on TV or the radio, it's going to be something big, winning the lottery or something like that. Emotional change. This is a change in a person's emotional state, such as becoming more content or happier. An example: she used to be really stressed out, as a phrasal verb, to be stressed out, but now she seems much more relaxed and content. That has been an emotional change. If you're stressed at work, but then things start to come together better, you'll have a more positive emotional change. Stressed out is a great phrasal verb to use, to be stressed out. A lot of us are stressed out, and we want to have an emotional change to be more relaxed. But often you could say, oh, what's wrong with you? You seem really stressed out, or I'm stressed out. Use it. It's useful. And I'm sure you know someone who's stressed out at the moment. And finally, we have personal growth, which is a change in a person's personal development, such as learning new skills, doing new courses, or overcoming a personal challenge. Example: he went back to school to get his degree. It shows how much he has grown. So when you go to university in the States or in the English-speaking world, at the end of it, after your 4 years, you get a degree. Then you get a master's degree afterwards. We call that a degree. Sometimes it can be a false friend in different languages. All right then. So I hope all of this has been useful for you. Remember, you can go back and you can go back. You can look at it again. It's going to be on YouTube again. And please, if it has been useful for you, just tell a friend, and get the word out about these. I'm just helping you guys, and that's the aim. Let's get together in 2023 and let's push forward with our English language learning. I'm also going to do my little bit to learn my language of choice. Anyway, enough about me. I'm going to try and be back here tomorrow to help you guys. Have a great day, and I'll catch up with you very soon. So all the best. See you later.